questions for student athletes only at that point, and then we'll dismiss the student athletes and take questions for coach. Being said, coach.
Yep. Well, obviously, we're disappointed in the outcome of the game. I didn't like our response coming out at halftime. I think we knew the type of team we were playing, tough team, gritty team. They played with a lot of confidence. Obviously, they shot the heck out of the ball today, and we were just a step behind defensively. Felt like the entire game.
Questions?
For Grace and Jordana, just from y'all's perspective, what kind of kept you guys from being able to get traction there in the second half and come back?
Yeah, I think kind of a big part of it was just communication and being able to effectively do what our coaches had told us. During halftime, they told us, multiple things. They thought that would help us jump back, and just, I think not being able to execute just specific defensive coverages and, what type of offense we wanted to run really hurt us, especially in that third quarter.
Yeah, I think the communication is part of it, but also just our execution on things. We had a bunch of turnovers, and that definitely stalled us in a bit, and we weren't able to execute the things that we wanted to.
On the turnovers for both of you, what was Troy doing that was kind of leading to those mistakes, or do you guys think it was something on your end that was leading to that?
For me personally, it's just reading the double and understanding that teams are going to probably do that to get those turnovers, but being smarter and watching film later on to see where I can get to pass it out.
Yeah, I think some of those also came from just the press, being able to make sure we're calm in those moments, and if they are doubling, someone else is open, and so just for us to be able to read that and find the next pass.
Grace, Jordana, both of you playing down low, getting a lot of rebounds. They rebounded you by 10 on offensive boards. What happened down low on the low blocks?
We knew that they were going to hustle on O boards. Like, that's their identity, and coach emphasized it during practice that we need to get the O boards, but they came at us today, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I think JD kind of hit it on the head. We really covered that in our film sessions, and so that was something they really prepared us for, just talking through on scout. And so I think just being able to mentally prepare for that type of rebounding was something we need to do better on.
For both of you, what do you think were some of those struggles defensively, especially when a team is shooting the ball that well?
Yeah, kind of going back to the scout, that was something else that was part of their identity, just coming down. They had talked about just how quick, they get their shot off within the shot clock. So I think, us actually being prepared for that was something we needed to convert to the floor, and, then not letting them get second chance opportunities.
I think it's just part of our urgency. We've seen them hit one or two and maybe get up a little bit more, understand. And coach told us early, we don't want them to shoot anymore, and we still let them shoot it.
Any more questions? All right, we'll dismiss the student. All right, question for coach?
Coach, this was tied for the most three-pointers you allowed in a game so far this season. The players talk about the scout. How come they weren't able to close out on the three-point shot today?
Well, if you go back and look, it wasn't. Their shots weren't. The majority of those shots didn't come off of action. It was coming off of one-on-one, and there's got to be a better urgency to get up and understand what we were trying to take away. There wasn't a scheme. At some point you got to get up and guard. We switched over to zone a few times and didn't get out and guard in zone as well. So, the adjustments we made weren't helping. And at some point, our players have to take some ownership. And we can't as a staff always save them. At some point, they've got to step up and make plays.
Coach, you talked about implementing the defensive coverage and some of that, but how complicated is it when that's not even coming into play, like you said, in the shit?
Oh yeah. So I'll be honest with you. We didn't. The first half, we didn't really guard a lot of schemes. We were guarding one-on-one, and didn't guard very well. And eventually, in the second half, we got to a second layer and had to guard some schemes, and we didn't guard it well. But at least we got to the schemes. So we only gave up three threes in the second half. I felt like if we could only give up 2 or 3, it felt like we could be in the game. And obviously we weren't. And that was just the defense, the total defense just wasn't where it needs to be.
Coach, from your perspective, what were some of the struggles when it came to breaking and I guess kind of pushing through that press?
Yeah, I mean, here's we're gonna pick it apart. We scored 82 points, you guys. I mean, if we score 82 points, we got to be in the game to win. I mean, now, granted, they pressed us. We made some adjustments and did a much better job, but we looked a little bit more hesitant against the press than we've looked live and in practice. I thought we were stalled out a little bit today. I thought in the past, I thought we had done a better job of flowing from our press offense right into our offense, and we didn't have that today. So obviously it's something we'll have to look at, but we ended up scoring 82. We needed more. We needed to score more than we did there in the second half.
Do you think that hesitancy caused some of those turnovers we saw today?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you're hesitant against an aggressive team, they crank it up even more. And I think the pace. We did not dictate the pace. I thought we were playing right to their pace. We were playing fast or slow, depending on how they wanted us to play. So, to me, you saw a classic Troy team. I mean, this team's a really good basketball team. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but they are. They're really good. They've got 5. They start 5 seniors. You're talking about veteran team. They know exactly what they're doing. That is exactly who they are. And their identity was. Push and transition, run the floor, shoot it quick, and rebound it, and we saw that today.
You mentioned you didn't like the fight out of halftime. Did you see anything specific that was different about the third quarter versus the rest of the game, or was it just kind of a lack of effort situation?
Statistically, there in the first 4 minutes, we gave up, I don't know what the numbers were, but I had it at one point. We gave up a lot of points to start the third quarter. And, I thought we would have a little bit more urgency coming out at half, and that was not good to see. The way we were playing, it just handicaps you as a coach. There were no adjustments that I could make that were going to help them, and that's tough as a coach because you want to be able to help them, but at some point they have to just go out and do what you ask them to do. And we did a little bit better job there in the fourth quarter, but at that point the game's really out of hand.
Coach, how do you adjust when you lose that rebound battle?
So we recognize that we are not going to get a lot of offensive boards. We understand that is, we kind of pick and choose. Are we a transition defensive team? Are we going to be a little more conservative there? We're going to crash the boards. We're just not going to be able to get enough production offensive boards for that to be our identity. So with that being said, we have to be better on the defensive boards. This is the best rebounding team we've played thus far. Not even close. We knew that going into the game, and I knew the physicality and the aggressiveness of their players on the board was going to be a big challenge for us. I was obviously hoping we would do a better job than this, but they bring it. They come with a lot of athleticism and power when they're coming to the board. So. We just have to be a little bit more disciplined, have a little bit more urgency to be able to get in there on the boards.
So, Coach, if the rebounding battle isn't going to be there night in, night out, then what do you need to be able to do as far as points off turnovers, just with the generating extra possessions? And
yeah, so the issue therein lies we have to be cleaner. We have to have less turnovers. We have to be a little bit better defensively, where maybe we can disrupt a little bit more. So either the shooting percentage is not as high, or they do have some turnovers, or we do a better job defensive box outs. The disparity of possessions. You're not going to win against a good team with the disparity of possessions that we had. Again, I'm sorry, I don't have that number. It was 100 and something to. It was a big wide margin, and so. You're, against a good team, you have to shorten that margin of possessions. You're just giving them too many opportunities.
Coach, like you alluded to, 2 points, 43% from beyond the arc, 100% from the line. That normally wins you a basketball game. How do you make sure your team keeps the confidence going into the next part of the season?
Yeah, I think that's our job as a coach, right? To be able to balance pushing them and challenging them and holding them to a high standard without chipping away at that confidence. I think we will definitely challenge them, but they've got to go out and when you put the work in and you feel good about your effort in practice, typically that's where you can draw some confidence from. But we'll have to walk that line a little bit and make sure that we find that a really good balance of how we handle them, how we push them, how we coach them, how we approach our next game.
Coach, you talked about a lack of adjustments after that second half, or in the first few minutes of that second half. When you made that full substitution, was that a sort of white flag?
No, I ain't got no white flags. That was you better get yourself some more urgency.
So a message to the team.
That was a message.
We'll take one.
And also, sorry, you got me fired up. And also, you know what? At that point, I need to find some players that will play with some competitiveness. Obviously, the first 4 minutes of the third quarter, we're not played with competitiveness. So, you know what? Somebody else gets a shot.
We'll take one or two more.
Coach, what can you say about your offensive performance, getting your shot? It seemed like you were more effective in the half court once you were able to break that press.
Yeah, I thought, I thought we were pretty efficient. They went to the zone. I thought it stalled us out there in the third quarter. The second quarter. I thought it stalled us out. It was still scored quite a few points, but I thought it affected our pace a little bit. So that, that's something we've not seen from them, but we did a better job of being prepared for it there in the second half. But we were still able, once we get to half court, we were still able to move the ball and find open shots and knock some down. Obviously, we shot the ball pretty well. So you for our team, the message is you've got to win with this offensive performance. This has to win us some basketball games, and that's where the adjustments just have to be made on the defensive end.
One more.
Coaches, what are going to be, what are going to be some of the focuses as you head into practice, heading into Sunday where you're traveling once again?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is the team we're playing next couldn't be more opposite of the team we just played. So this is back-to-back scouting reports aren't going to help us. So their identities are completely different. Their pace is completely different. Their execution and how they attack offensively, defensively, completely different. Not saying it's good or bad. It's just very different. So we have to, we'll have to take tomorrow and spend on some corrections here from this game. At the same time, start moving forward to be as prepared as we can be for Sunday.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank y'all.
Coach.